Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's episode, which is, talking about all things Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 13, particularly episode 7, Dazed and Confused. Sorry that I had to push the time of this live back. If you guys are joining me live, I had some of my day job work come up. So thank you so much for your grace. And if you guys are catching this on the replay, thank you for that as well. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So with that, let's dive right on in. So when it comes to this season, after today's episode, I felt very conflicted. I kind of feel like this season is just super toxic when I thought that it was heating up in a good way. And this kind of goes to, I'm not sure if it was just a rumor or a blind item that was going around where allegedly the producers for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills were interviewing a new housewife, like a younger housewife, and spending time with her and her husband and her family because they were thinking of doing a similar reboot to Beverly Hills that they did in NYC, because the producers were saying the second half of the season is even worse than the first half, and they didn't think that viewers like us, it would resonate with us. And at first I was like, I'm not sure if I agree with that, because I thought the season was like finally heating up with like all of the Sutton stuff, all of the Kyle stuff. But now I'm kind of like, I get it. It's just going to be the same rinse, wash, repeat over and over and over again. Like watching Kyle lie and deny, it's exhausting. Like, is this going to be the rest of the season? Like, what else is going on with the ladies? Dorit is becoming insufferable, as she's always been, with the whole home invasion PTSD storyline. Like, I don't like it when housewives make their entire personality just about their kids. Oh, Jagger, oh, Phoenix, homeschooling, blah, 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 blah. Like, what else is going on with you, Dorit? Like, I get it, you and PK are in a bad place, but like, what else is going on? At least create another fake brand to have a fake launch that we can laugh about. What else is good? I'm tired of the PTSD. I'm tired of the kids. Like, enough. I want more light moments and keys. Like, one thing that really was refreshing about this episode, and we'll get more into it when we go into the ladies' slides, is that what was really refreshing was that lunch with Sutton and Crystal and Garcelle and Denise. That was so fun. Like, they were just like laughing and hanging out. They all got along. It was cool doing light shade. It was a fun vibe. And like, that's more of the vibe and the energy that I want, rather than this like toxic, dark energy that's like Kyle and Erica and Dorit. They're just sort of very like toxic energies. And you can feel the difference. That dinner versus all the other scenes with the other ladies is just much more light and fun. And you can have really good shows with lightness and fun without having it be so dark and heavy. Watch The Real Housewives of Sydney. They do it beautifully. They have a lot of conflict and drama, but it's not dark and heavy, Also, I think that Sutton and Crystal and Garcelle are angling to get Heather Dubrow cast on the show. As we know, Heather and Terry just bought a new house in Beverly Hills, and they were posting a ton of pictures of each other, like Sutton and Heather and Garcelle and Crystal and Heather. They've been posting each other all over social media, and they've been hanging out and having a really fun time together. So I don't know how I feel. What do you guys think? Do you think that Heather Dubrow would work on Beverly Hills? Like, is she the right chemistry fit? I'm torn on this. There's one part of me that's like, yeah, actually, I think Heather Dubrow would fit the best in Beverly Hills, like fancy pants. But then I'm like, I don't know. Would she actually be more of like a New York housewife? I'm not sure. I have to think about that one, but put it down below. Let me know what you guys think, okay? So with that, let's dive into each lady. Okay, so Kyle. Kyle, at this point, it's literally exhausting, and it's Groundhog's Day. Do you know what I mean? It's Groundhog's Day with Kyle. Lie and deny and deflect. Lie, deny, and deflect. Lie, deny, and deflect. It's way too much. One thing that I did like was Kyle was finally opening up about her depression. I thought that was good and cool, you know. This also is a good way to put her behavior into context, but she still owes LVP and Sutton apologies for how she treated them when they were grieving. So it's like, you know, now you know what it feels like to have your entire world shatter when someone you love, you know, takes their own life. Do you not now, at least in retrospect, you know, in hindsight, have the empathy and the compassion to say, you know what, Sutton, I really was insensitive to, you know, what you were going through when you were triggered by what happened to your father, and I'm sorry. You know what, Lisa Vanderpump, I now have a lot of empathy and compassion for you, and I am so sorry how insensitive I was and how poorly I treated you when you were grieving the death of your brother. I'm sorry. But there doesn't seem to be any of that from Kyle. There doesn't seem to be any reflection. In fact, it seems like she's going to weaponize her grief and weaponize the death of her friend to justify her piss poor behavior. You know, she was caught resharing on her stories like this account. It's called like Your Bish Therapist, who basically just regurgitated the same exact theory we've been talking about since last summer, that Kyle is going through some sort of crisis because of the death of her friend, shattered her sense of self, and that's why she's acting out. Mauricio wasn't there for her emotionally or mentally or spiritually when she needed him, and that's why she's having these temper tantrums and wants to split. We've been saying that literally forever, but now Kyle is like reposting this other therapist's thoughts about it. And then at the bottom, she said, oh, and like everyone knew that this is what I was going through this season. Yeah, well, everyone knew that Lisa Vanderpump's brother had passed away, and you still treated her dirty. Everyone knew that, and you still treated her dirty. So, and to be perfectly honest with you, you guys did Lisa Vanderpump way dirtier than anybody on this show is doing you. The only thing anybody on this show has done to you said, hey, Kyle, is anything going on with you that you want to talk about? That's literally anything anybody has said. What's going on with you? You seem like something's up. That's literally it. And then Kyle isn't making sense because she can't have it both ways. She said she's going through something in her marriage, right? She said that at the weird, fake spiritual thing. But then she acts betrayed and shocked. How dare you when anybody asks her how she's doing and ask her about it? So it doesn't make any sense. You yourself said you're going through something. And then when people say, well, what are you going through? You know, let's talk about it. You get so offended and up in arms and acting like they are trying to attack you because they're asking questions. How are they supposed to support you if you don't talk about what you're going through? Doesn't make any sense, Kyle. You're also a hypocrite because you accuse Sutton of being a drunk. You accuse Sutton of having disordered eating, but then you can't take it when she asks you those same questions. Wow, you're exercising a lot. You've lost a lot of weight. You know, oh, you stopped drinking. What's going on with that? Very normal questions when anybody kind of does a 180 in their lifestyle, when they stop drinking, when they work out a ton, when they lose a ton of weight, when they're being very irritable. Anytime when somebody goes to the other extreme, people are concerned. Either way, they're either concerned and say what's going on, or they're like, oh, well, you know, good job. Maybe you needed to drink a little less, and like, this is what you're doing for yourself and your own mental wellness. This is great, right? So I do think that Kyle is definitely being extremely hypocritical when it comes to this. You can't go off on Sutton for saying and asking questions when you do the same exact thing to everyone all the time. And also, like, the ladies are not attacking you. They literally are just saying, hey, Kyle, anything you want to talk about? Because your shit's looking a little crazy. Anything you want to talk about? Because you yourself said your marriage is having a really bad year. I don't know. Is there anything you want to get off your chest? Let's talk about it. Because Kyle would be the first person to be like, we need to talk about it. We need to tell the truth. We need to be honest. We need to own it. She would be the first person saying that. But if you ask her one question, she loses her mind and forgot how to talk. It's insane. Okay. Now, it was very clear that Kyle had a very scripted conversation with Anne-Marie about Sutton's esophagus disorder. I know, it's weird. It's funny. Like, we'll talk about it more in Sutton's slide, but I was just like, this is so scripted. And, you know, Anne-Marie definitely held her hand up and was like, Kyle, I will be your Patsy. I will be your new Teddy. I will be your new mouthpiece. Just tell me what to say and I'll say it. Okay? Anne-Marie, girl, pipe down. I did feel bad for Kyle when she was talking about not being included in family milestones like Paris's baby and her children not meeting the baby and everything like that. But I did catch that Kyle still has so much jealousy and bitterness and resentment towards Kathy. Like, even when Kim Richards were saying, like, you know, life is too short, we need to, you know, all make up, we're doing all these milestones, we're wasting all this time, Kyle still had this sort of smirk on her face, you know, when Kim was like, oh, you know, if we go too long, it's going to breed resentment. She had this like nasty smirk on her face. Like, she wasn't actually trying to make amends with Kathy. She still was just very bitter. And then it also comes out, I'll talk about it more on the Sutton slide, with the whole, a big reason why I think Kyle is going so hard at Sutton is because she is jealous of the relationship that Sutton has with Kathy. And I do think she felt some type of way when Sutton chose Kathy over her, as Sutton should have. Sutton was friends with Kathy first, and also Sutton, you know, believed Kathy more, and just when it came to their whole situation, right? So why should she not choose the person, the sister that she knew the longest and the sister that she's actually closest to? So girl, bye. But I loved Kim. I love that she was the mature sister. She had herself all together, and it was really, really nice to see that. And I agree, Kathy and Kyle both could have done things differently, but Kyle is way more to blame, because she, not only did she start it, but she facilitated it. She facilitated the quote Kathy takedown. You know, she enabled Lisa Rinna. She enabled Erica Jane. Like, she got Dorit in on it. Like, you started it and you facilitated it. So you're more to blame. You're just mad because you got caught, and you're just mad because people like Sutton chose Kathy over you. Like, the nation chose Kathy, and I don't know why you didn't see that coming. Like, you messed around and you found out. It is what it is, Kyle. Okay. Now let's move on to Miss Sutton. So Sutton kept slaying when it came to Kyle, and I agree that Kyle is unhappy and doesn't want to talk about her personal things. Now, I also will say this. Sutton smoking a doobie was the best vibe of the night. Literally the best vibe of the night. Like, her smoking the joint, her smoking the doobie. I was like, Sutton, this is why I love you. You know, you're so multifaceted. You're so fun. You're so cool. And she was like, this is legal. This is perfectly legal. I was so here for it. I absolutely loved it. She slayed. She was the best. Now, let's talk about the Sutton and Kathy story. So Sutton tells this story because Kyle is losing her crap, was like losing her mind. And she's like, you know, you have to kiss her butt in public and all this stuff. The story that Sutton told about Kathy didn't change my opinion about Kathy. Like, so what that Kathy called Sutton and chewed her out because she didn't, you know, have her back in the press. Kathy's the boss. It is what it is. She's the HBIC. Like, what else did you expect? Like, Kathy is Kathy. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like Kathy can't do wrong, because I don't hero worship anybody. Like, everybody can mess up. Everybody can do wrong. Everybody can be accountable. But for me, it felt more just like a fun kiki thing. Like, you know, just Kathy's that girl. She's the HBIC. She's the list collector. You know, are you on her list? She's checking it twice. Are you naughty or nice? You know, you're either in or you out. She's that chick. And she does have that pull, and she does have that swing. And I think just because she called Sutton and was upset that she didn't have her back doesn't mean that Lisa Rinna was right. Doesn't mean that what Erica said about her was right. It just means Kathy was pissed that Sutton was riding the fence in public, you know, in the press. And I get it. You know, if I had that Kathy pull, I might act the same way, you know? Now, do I think it's a difference between like, do I think Kathy like really chewed Sutton out in like a mean, you know, vicious, horrible way? No, I think Sutton, as we know, Sutton is, you just say anything slightly to her and she's like, oh, name them, name them, name them. So do I think it was this like horrible chew out thing? No. Do I think Kathy gathered Sutton? Yeah, because Kathy gathers the girls all the time. She always gathers the girl, and she's just that chick. So like, that story didn't make me feel any type of way about Kathy. Honestly, it made me just think, yeah, she's HBIC. She gathered the girls because she can. And that was it. Kyle trying to make a big deal out of that, to me, was just being very desperate and very just grasping at straws. And just, again, shows how bitter she is. And it also exposes the core reason why she has such an issue with Sutton is because she's jealous of Sutton and Kathy's relationship. And she's pissed that Sutton chose Kathy over her. And she's probably pissed that Kathy chose Sutton over her too. They both, you know, it works both ways. So it is what it is. Now, let's also talk about Sutton's illness, her esophagus illness. Do we think that's real or fake? Do we really think that Sutton has an esophagus disease where it's too small and she can't swallow? Or do you think that there is any truth to Kyle's claims that Sutton has disordered eating? I personally never thought Sutton had disordered eating. It seemed like she was just always kind of naturally frail. She used to be a ballerina. It never seemed to me like she had disordered eating. So I'm not really sure where that came from Kyle. But the esophagus story, also, I was kind of like, what? So I want to know what you guys think on that one. I'm kind of like on the fence whether that's real or fake. Like, who knows? Pink Dynamite says it's real. That's real. Yeah. I'm more keen to believe Sutton. I don't think she's like a liar like that, or she would make up like having an illness. And then Sutton's shade when she says, "Do you want to lose a third sister?" comment. Do you think that was too low, or do you think it's okay that she went that low? Because prior to that, Kyle was basically saying that she didn't eat and that she had disordered eating, and she was making fun of her esophagus illness. So it's like, well, if you're going to cut me deep on something that's really hurtful to me, well, then I'm going to cut you right back. Because to Sutton, what Kyle was saying is very hurtful. You know, if you do have some sort of illness and somebody uses that and then they throw it in your face, that's extremely hurtful. And then also for someone to accuse you of having disordered eating is also extremely hurtful and also very reckless of Kyle. Kyle herself has admitted that she's had disordered eating when she was younger and probably into her adulthood. You know, and she probably has disordered eating now. That's how she lost all the weight. Eating way less, over exercising, Ozempic, maybe not, who knows. But like when you are losing weight, you do eat in a disordered way no matter what, whether you do it for a short time to lose the weight and then you kind of get back on a more healthy ratio to maintain your weight. But when you're on that track to lose weight, there is disordered eating because you have to. That's literally just like science. You have to eat less than what you are expending. And usually that's less than what you should be. But then when you get to a healthy weight, then you're able to sort of maintain that balance, right? So Kyle, girl, miss me with all this. Like, please miss me with all this. I don't even want to go there. But I want to know what you guys think about the sister comment. Like, do you think it was too low? Do you think it was like the punishment didn't fit the crime? Like, come back at Kyle with something about her disordered eating and her over exercising and alleged Ozempic use, but like, don't bring the family into it. Or do you think, nope, it's okay. You know what? You went low to me. I'm going to go low for you. Put it down. What do you guys think? Okay. Now let's talk about Ding Dong Dorit. So Ding Dong Dorit is so in love with Mauricio. She is the sniper from the side trying to expose the cheating rumors about Kyle and Mauricio because she wants them to divorce so bad. She wants them to divorce so bad so she can finally leave PK and then sail into the sunset with her boyfriend Mauricio. I'm going to break down all of the times that it was actually Dorit that Kyle should be pissed at, because Dorit was actually the one pulling all of the strings to get the cheating rumors on camera in public and spoken about. At the dinner, it was Dorit who went up to Sutton and said, Sutton, are you going to confront Kyle? Are you going to talk to Kyle about everything? She said that at the dinner. And then Sutton was like, oh, I need a cocktail first. This was not the last episode, but the episode before that. Then also at the dinner, when they're actually at the table, it was Dorit who kept amping up Anne-Marie when Anne-Marie was like, well, what are you talking about? Just say it. Just say it. And Dorit was the one like, yeah, just say it. Just say it, Sutton. She was like amping that up. Like, if you're actually Kyle's friend, wouldn't you be like, let's just squash this conversation. We'll talk about it another time. Why are you chiming in and trying to get that storyline out, right? Also, prior to this and the past episodes, the first person other than Kyle herself, when she kind of alluded to it at the whole spiritual ceremony thing, saying that, she and Mauricio were having a really tough year and how everything wasn't working out with them, and they were just like kind of struggling. But the first person to bring up the situation about Kyle and Mauricio was Dorit. She brought it up twice on camera. She brought it up when she was in the car with Kyle, when Kyle was bringing her to her anniversary, birthday, whatever the hell it was, pretty woman surprise. She brought up in the car. And then she also brought it up to Kyle when Kyle went to her and PK's house for dinner. She brought it up over dinner again about the problems that Mauricio and Kyle were having on camera. So Dorit is saying she's Kyle's friend, but she's the one who is continuously bringing it to the show on camera and egging people on. Also, tonight or last night's episode, the latest episode, it was Dorit who reignited the conversation by telling Kyle what Sutton said about denial. She was like, oh, Sutton said that you're in denial about something or whatever. And Kyle took the bait. She was like, what? What did she say? And then started the whole fight all over again. The entire conversation was squashed. Everybody was gagging and kikiing over Denise Richards being a loopy-loo. The whole conversation had been squashed. It was Dorit who reignited it. Kooky Kyle, less than smart Kyle took the bait, then went to go over to Sutton. What am I in denial about? What are you talking about? Don't gaslight me, blah, 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 blah. And Sutton was just like, hey, listen, I'm not talking about this anymore. You said you're good. I'm taking that. Like, I don't want to keep going with this. Sutton didn't keep the conversation going. Dorit reignited it. And then watch that scene when Kyle goes, well, in denial about what? And then Dorit is even more in it than Kyle is. She goes, yeah, denial about what? Like, she is like really in it. And then she brought it up again when Kyle and her and Kim went on the hike, making the quote joke about, oh, Kyle, you're not wearing your ring. We're working out. Why would you bring that up again on camera, reigniting the conversation, reigniting the rumors, unless you are systematically trying to break up Kyle and Mauricio and get those rumors on camera for the record to cause more drama between them? Do you know what I mean? It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And then I don't know if Dorit said this on Watch What Happens Live, because I didn't have time to watch it because, again, sorry, you guys, I started late. My day job sort of, I had more work today than I thought I was going to have. So I didn't get a chance to watch What Happens Live, but I did see a headline saying that Dorit was saying, oh, Morgan and Kyle's friendship has affected, or relationship has affected me and Kyle's friendship. No, Dorit, the rumors that you were having sex with her husband is what affected your friendship. Hello, da-dun-da-dun. That's why Dorit kept fishing and poking for Kyle to give her more information, because it's clear that Kyle really stepped all the way back from Dorit. They're doing little pleasantries on camera, keeping things kind of light. But, like Dorit said, she hasn't seen Kyle. She hasn't really talked to Kyle. They stopped doing things as couple friends. BK even stopped seeing Mauricio. They stopped seeing each other as couples. So no, it's not the fact that Morgan is in the picture that you and Kyle's relationship is on the outs. It's the fact that there's a huge rumor going around that you were having sex with her husband. That's why you're on the outs. I mean, duh. And the sad part is, whether that rumor is true or not, it's the type of rumor that, whether it's true or not, has consequences. Anytime there's even a whiff or an inkling that your best friend is sleeping with your husband or your best friend is sleeping with your wife, there's consequences to that. Unfortunately, whether it's true or not, you're going to have consequences. There's going to be questions. There's going to be paranoia. There's going to be people pulling away. There's going to be fights. There's consequences to that. There are certain things that people put out in the world that have consequences. You know what I mean? And so it's absolutely crazy that Dorit is out here acting dazed and confused about why her and Kyle are on the outs. Do you know what I mean? And she's been systematically the sniper from the side really, she is the one pushing the whole narrative about Kyle and Mauricio and whether they're getting divorced and the cheating rumors. She's just using Sutton. And then because Kyle is like so wacky, she's also using Kyle because Kyle took the bait. If I was Kyle and Dorit said that to me, oh, she said this, I would have been like, oh, okay, like whatever, I'll talk to her later. Like, forget it. Because the conversation had been squashed. It was over, it was dead. But Dorit put life back into it, right? Now, Dorit versus PK. I actually really like PK. I know he's a grifter. I know he's a fraudster, allegedly. But I like him. I do. I like PK more than I like Dorit. I think he's funny. I think he's a moment. I think he's a beat. I like PK. And I actually have to agree with him. Again, I'm not a parent, but since they're bringing up their parenting opinions on camera, I'm going to weigh in on my opinion on what they said. I agree with him. I do think that the children should be socialized in schools. I do think it's kind of a disservice to their development socially and mentally to only be homeschooled, and no disrespect to people who have been homeschooled, no disrespect to people who do homeschool their children. I just personally think, and I agree with PK, that from a social normalization standpoint, it is better to integrate your children into society. Whether it's a public school, whether it's a private school, whether it's a charter school, I still think that having that level of normalization into society, having friendships, having dynamics, having structure really helps children to grow up in a developmental way. Now, if you are in a place where, because I'm not going to do a whole conversation about our school system, because obviously there are a lot of holes, a lot of things lacking, overcrowding, gun control, not paying our teachers enough. I totally get that. I'm just talking about in general, the idea of school and socializing your children, I think is a good one. And then on top of that, if you are blessed and privileged enough to be able to give your children tutors, then that's great too. But I don't think they're going to get the same level of socialization being schooled at home. I don't know if Dorit wants to school them at home because is that cheaper than going to a private school in the area? Because even though they live in Encino, private schools in LA are hella expensive. So even though it might look on the surface like, oh, she's spending all this money on teachers coming, at the end of the day, she's paying far less to get these, quote, tutors and teachers to come in-house and teach her children than she would be paying for 2 children to be in private schools in LA. So it could also be a reason why she's trying to explain away why she's homeschooling, because we always talk about, Dorit and PK's finances. It actually might be a sign of them not having money like that. Maybe, I don't know why she wouldn't put them in a public school. Maybe she thinks that homeschooling is better than public school. Maybe she's like, I don't know. Maybe that's what she's thinking. But money could be a reason why they're not putting them in private schools, because that's going to cost a pretty penny. A pretty penny. That's right, Miss T. PK even said send the kids to public school. And that's what I think it is. That's a shout out to Miss T. That's what I think it is. I think that she thinks her kids are too good for public school, but they can't afford private school. So in her mind, her best option is homeschooling. And that is where I think she's actually really pissed off at PK about. I think she's pissed off at PK because of the state of their finances. That's where I really think her hostility is coming from, and her anger and her wanting to, he doesn't support me and all of this stuff. I think she's pissed because of the state of their money. I think that if the money was there, if that's where the money resided, I actually don't think she would care if he was off in London if he was doing him all over the place. I don't think she would care. I think what she truly cares about is the fact that the money isn't there. And I think the money is a big part of the reason that she signed up with PK. You know what I mean? A huge part. So I think that the reason why she's homeschooling the kids is because they can't afford private school, but she thinks she's too good to send her kids to a public school. I went to public school and I loved it. It was fine. Then again, I also grew up in the boonies, but like, but still, she thinks her kids are too good for it. So that's what I think that's what I think is really going on here, Yikes, yikes, yikes. Chrissy says, how can she afford all the clothes and bags but not private school? Well, some of the clothes and bags could be borrowed. They could be rented. She could return them. They could be fakes and knockoffs. Who knows? And also priorities. They could not be in the right place. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, DGF. Hey, Sierra. Hey, Miss T. Hey, everybody. All right. Now, let's move on to Crystal and Garcelle. So I'm really loving, and I put them together on the same slide this time because we didn't really see a lot of either of them, but yet they were really good. Do you know what I mean? So I'm really loving Crystal this season. I think she's funny. I think she's shady. I still want to see more of her personal life. Yes, she's shady and she's funny. Yes, she talks about her brother and what's going on with him, but I still want to see more of Crystal. Like, I want to see Crystal be a lady who lunch. I want to see her, host a really fun boozy brunch with her 14 Beverly Hills friends. I want to see her on a private jet shipping champagne. I want to see her getting lit on a yacht. I want to see her, going into Givenchy and dropping 10 grand on like a little tiny purse. Like, I want to see Crystal living. You know what I mean? It's like, if you have the money, you have the means, live, Crystal. And if you are living, can you show it to us? Because I think production is editing her out, but I'm also curious is she giving production these types of things? Do you know what I mean? But I do love Crystal. She's a moment and she's fun. I also love Garcelle this episode as always. And like I said before earlier, I love the fun and the light vibe of Sutton, Denise, Crystal, and Garcelle. So fun. It definitely, again, was a bit scripted when they talked about Sutton illnesses, but so was when Kyle and Anne-Marie were talking about Sutton. I think both conversations were very scripted, but I'm okay with that. And this is more of the vibe that I want to feel with the show. Light and fun shade. The confessionals, Crystal and Garcelle, they're both lit. They have great one-liners. So does Sutton. And then also in the moment, they're showing up more. It's not just confessional shade anymore. They're shading in the moment. They're shading to people's faces. And that's what I really, really like, right? That's what I really, really like. I like when people are shady in confessions, but then they're also shady to the face. You can't just be a shade assassin in the confessional. You got to show up, in scene as well. But I'm loving Crystal. I'm loving Garcelle. I think hopefully more as the season goes on, we're going to see more of them, more conversations. We do know it's going to be a Crystal versus Anne-Marie storyline going on. Garcelle is going to, again, talk more about her sons and her children, which is cute and great. But again, just like with Crystal, I still want to see more of Garcelle's life. Like, I want to see Garcelle maybe go out with her industry friends, maybe some of her actor friends or producer friends or her, lady who lunch friends. I want to see that too. Who does Garcelle hang out with on a random Sunday afternoon? Who is she going to high tea with? Like, that would be fun. Like, remember when it was a couple of seasons ago when she came in with, even though she ended up being a flop, Cherie, Will Smith's ex-wife, but they had that whole lunch with with Garcelle and Cherie and like all of their like socialite friends. Like, I want to see more of that. Like, I think it's okay to bring in more people who aren't necessarily a friend of, but they're just actual friends of the ladies and show that side of the ladies too. Add in a Crystal, add in a Sutton, and have like a really fun boozy brunch, or whatever it is. Go shopping, go splurge, something. I think that's kind of what is missing from this season is those moments of like actual just luxury life of going on a boozy brunch and having it be fun, flying to Paris for some croissants, you know what I mean? Just like the girls just having like a fun, luxurious, lavish time, key. The problem with this season is that every single scene is so heavy and so weighted and so scripted and so clearly only in service of a quote narrative. Do you know what I mean? They're not having fun just living. And I think that is what's really missing, is that piece where they're just being goofy and having fun and just, you know, being goofballs. Like, they're not living their life. Everything is so pre-planned and just so obvious and predictable. And I think that's what's really missing. Like, I want to see them go splurge. I want to see them get drunk and have fun. I want to see them, you know, just do really fun things where I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to do that one day. You know, something that you aspire to, or something that you could like see yourself in. Like, oh my gosh, like they're at this great spa in like St. Bart's. Like, how much fun would that be? They're skiing and like whatever. Like, where it's fun and it's not just drama to create narratives that nobody really cares about. Like, that's what's missing. But I do love Crystal and I do love Garcelle, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, and I hope they show more of who they are, okay? Exactly, DGF. Oh, hi. Exactly, like the girls of the OC. Okay, now Miss Erica. I had an epiphany about Erica during this episode, and I want to see if you guys agree with me. My epiphany about Erica is this. Yes, I do think one of the big reasons why she's so, quote, calm this season is because she's been put on notice by her lawyers to chill the F out with all of the legal stuff. I think once, you know, Tom's son or son-in-law and his CFO and even him got indicted, got the federal charges actually against them, that they are actually being charged with this stuff, I think that really shook her. And I think that's a core reason why she's acting so calm, quote, calm this season. Not that she's actually changed, but she's just putting on a mask because she doesn't want to get indicted either and provide the feds with more evidence and fodder to go against her. On top of that, my epiphany was, I also think that she was put on notice by whoever the powers or be are, whether they are Bravo executives or whether they are Las Vegas residency executives. I don't know what they're called, just whoever are the executives who book residencies. I think that she does not want to jeopardize her Las Vegas residency, coupled with she does not want to jeopardize her Bravo spinoff special. Because as we know, Bravo NBC gave her either like a 2-part special or some sort of like limited series spinoff all about her residency. I think it's called like Always Bet on Blonde or something like that, right? So I think that, and if you think about it, all of her storylines, going to see Magic Mike and, you know, talking about her new publicist and, you know, getting into shape and all of this stuff, all of her storylines have been pushing her Las Vegas residency. And I think that's a big reason why she also set up Sutton at the elevator, because she wanted to get Sutton back and to make sure she stayed in the good graces of the Las Vegas, you know, and I mean this in a real way, like, you know, male gay community, because those were the people that, you know, she felt Sutton disrespected, you know, Mikey and his husband and, you know, the Magic Mike dancers who were predominantly gay. I think that she wanted to keep that demographic, quote, on her side, even though I do think she exploits that community a lot. I think she uses them. I think she used them sort of as props, as caricatures to create her, quote, Erica Jane persona. To me, Erica Jane exploits the gay community. She doesn't actually support or elevate them, but she knows that she doesn't want to alienate them. And then she also knows that she's going to need dancers. She's going to need word of mouth. She's going to need support for her LA residency. So I think she was super pissed at Sutton for jeopardizing that. And that's why she set up Sutton at the elevator on some give back, because she wants to make sure she stays in good graces. Because if you think about it, almost everything Erica has been talking about has been, I want to dance. I want to perform. It's, you know, Vegas is the most amazing place in the world. Oh my God, I come alive here. Oh, Mikey. Oh, let's go to Magic Mike. Let's go to Vegas for Crystal's birthday. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence. In my Nene voice, is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? I don't think it's a coincidence that the ladies just so happened to pick Vegas for Crystal's birthday. I don't think it's a coincidence that they just so happened to go see Magic Mike, who is all of Erica's friends, in Vegas. I think all of this, Bravo included, have been really pushing this Erica Las Vegas residency narrative because they want to use it to promote the spinoff that they gave her. And it's also kind of sick because, I mean, I guess Bravo loves celebrating and, you know, I don't know what the word is, rewarding criminals. You know, like, how is it Erica Jane is getting a spinoff? Like, I'm so confused. The meanest of the meanest, the evilest of the evilest, the person who's literally being sued as we speak for stealing from orphans and widows and being complicit in fraud, she gets a spinoff? Girl. And I think that's the core reason, coupled with her being put on notice by her lawyers, you need to chill the F out because you're not looking good right now. I think that's really the reason why she's like, oh, I found God, and for Lent, I'm not fighting with anybody. She made it a point to say she's not fighting with anybody and she's being so chill because I think the powers that be, not the God she's referring to, put her on notice. You say something this season to get canceled, your residency is over. You say something this season to get canceled, your spinoff is off the table. You say something this season to get canceled, the feds are watching. That's what I think the real reason why she's, quote, turning a new leaf. Not because she actually cares about people, not because she's remorseful, not because she figured out how to fake empathy, but because she's looking out for her number one. Because like Erica said, she doesn't give a damn about anybody but herself, and she meant that. So all of this new Erica is just for herself. Just for herself. So, yeah. Miss T says, I thought Erica set up the Vegas trip. Yeah, but it was for Crystal's birthday. So remember when they went to Vegas for Crystal's birthday, but Erica set up the trip, which again makes sense. She set up the Vegas trip because she's doing the Vegas residency. She's getting the Vegas spinoff with Bravo and NBC, you know? Yeah. Okay, you guys, let's move on to Anne-Marie looks like a foot. And I'm not body shaming. It's just what she looks like to me. And I'm not body shaming. It's what she looks like to me. So hearing Anne-Marie talk about her husband, every single time it makes me want to throw up. Because every single time I see her and every time she talks about her husband, it makes me think about the sexual assault allegations against him. You know what I mean? Like, thank God it doesn't trigger me as a person who has survived that. Like, thank God for that. But just knowing what he's being accused of and knowing how many viewers are watching who have been affected by that, either themselves or by someone they love, it's like I can't unsee it now. I can't unhear it. So now every time I see her, even if she's talking about her husband or not, it's literally the only thing I think about. I can't unsee it. Like, I can't put the toothpaste back in the tooth tub or whatever it's called, right? Like, once it's out, it's out. I can't unsee it. I think she is very boring to me. She's very flat. She is low energy, low vibe, but yet she's also at the same time like over the top. It's very weird. Like, she's very low vibe, low energy, but then when she does talk, she's very like pushy. Like, she's a very pushy person. Like, I agree with what Crystal said. There's just something off about her. You know, there's something a little off about Anne-Marie. It does seem as though she's being edited out and isn't as heavily featured as she had been promoted to be. Maybe that will change in the upcoming episodes, especially more her versus Crystal. But I did see her holding the diamond this time on this episode, which was disappointing. I think Bravo and NBC decided to keep her holding a diamond, probably because they didn't know how else to edit the footage they had. And they chose keeping her on as a diamond holder to keep whatever corny storyline they had going, because they probably needed it for what's going on. Because if you think about this season, not a lot is actually going on other than Kyle. And that at this point is just exhausting. There's not a lot of else that's truly like going on. What's saving this season is, you know, Crystal is a vibe. Sutton's a vibe. Garcelle is a vibe. Yes, they're all vibes, but it's not enough. There's not enough meat. There's not enough juice going on. And I also don't trust Bravo or NBC to put the feelings of victims or potential, not victims, survivors, of potential survivors ahead of the money they think they're going to make off of keeping Anne-Marie as a diamond holder. I think it's really horrible. I think it would have been a much better look for them if they would have come out with a public statement saying, yes, we understand innocent until proven guilty, but giving the, egregious manner of the accusations against her husband, we have decided to, edit it out. And we're also going to make a donation to, survivors or a certain foundation that helps survivors of sexual assault. That to me would have been the vibe and the mood. It's honestly kind of disgusting that I'm just talking out loud at this point. It's kind of disgusting to still support Bravo at this point. Like, if I was ahead at Bravo, if I was an executive, that's what I would have done. I would have been like, we're not weighing in on his guilt or innocence, but just given the gravity of the accusations, we're donating to, a survival company, not company, but you know what I mean, foundation. And we've decided to, lessen her role on the show as to not trigger, people who may be survivors who support our network. Something, but to say nothing and then to still keep this chick on the show and then let her keep her diamond is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Okay. Now, do we think her and Kyle are actual friends? I mean, to me, it's a gut no. I don't think they're actually friends. I think Kyle and Anne-Marie met at, I think wasn't it like an open house that the agency was doing? They met. And then they realized they lived in the same area in Encino, not Beverly Hills. Neither of them live in Beverly Hills. They live in Encino. And I think that Kyle just needed a new ally. And I do think that it might be a little bit of a diversity hire, since there was so much contention last season with the racism claims and the homophobia claims, and Garcelle so gracefully talking about what her experience is being the only Black woman on the cast and racial microaggressions, and then Kathy being accused of but being racist by Lisa and Erica, which I think is a lie. So I do think there was a bit of two birds with one stone. Let's get an Anne-Marie. She can be Kyle's new mouthpiece since Teddy's not there and Lisa Rinna's gone. And she can also add to the diversity of the cast, I know Crystal is Asian 100%, but I do think that them adding more diversity to a cast was a strategic choice. I think someone like an Anne-Marie would actually be great. And by like an Anne-Marie, I mean, I think it's fine for them to add more diversity to the cast. And on paper, it should be someone like an Anne-Marie, someone who is, I guess they have money because he's like an NFL player and she's a doctor. So someone who does have money, someone who is, I guess, she's not that cute to me, but whatever, fit, has the husband, has the kids, all of that. On paper, Anne-Marie would be great, whether she's white, Black, Hispanic, or Asian, whatever it is, right? I don't really care about the ethnicity. I think it's fine to hire more diverse people, as we should, right? On paper, she should be a great fit. But the problem is, on paper doesn't translate to chemistry and the energetics of a person. On paper, Anne-Marie would be great. But the way she translates in real life to me is a flop. She seems I don't know if it's because she's an athlete, but she just seems like hulkish. And I'm not talking about her body. I'm talking about her huh, like that. I'm not talking about her weight or her muscles or anything like that. I'm just talking about her actual physical presence. Because how jocks kind of are? That's what I mean. And that's kind of weird. Just her energy in general, her vibe in general, she just doesn't seem like a vibe. She's not with it. I'm not with her. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's talk more about people at the dinner and everything else. Now, let me know if you agree on this. Is this a popular or unpopular opinion? I thought Denise Richards was a total vibe. I was living for Loopy Denise. I don't know what she was on, but I was like, can you please send me some for Friday night? Because whatever planet you're on, I want to come visit you. I was living for Sierra said, you said she got a hulkish aura. Oh my God. I love it. I was living for Loopy Denise. I thought she was a complete and total vibe. There were things out there saying that, like, allegedly, like, she wasn't allowed to say specific things at the dinner, things that occurred, like, off cameras by the producers. So she came across as even more loopy, like, when she was like, well, you know, without actually saying what it was. But then at the lunch with the ladies, she says that it was because Erica made the comments about threesomes and sex in front of the minor children and their friends when she had the barbecue at her house, and she never apologized. So maybe it was that, but we also have to remember that Erica did say that Denise's daughters probably already knew what a threesome was, alluding to her daughters probably already had threesomes. And that's pretty messed up. Do you know what I mean? And that's not the first time or the last time Erica has treated children like adults. She hypersexualized Denise's daughters, and then she cussed out Garcelle's son. So she has a pattern of treating children as if they are adults, and they're not. You know, to hypersexualize somebody's children by saying that they probably already know what a threesome is quite frankly disgusting. So I do get where Denise is coming from. I thought Denise was talking about her having Lisa Rinna's back, and with the whole like Brandy hookup situation when the full Fox 5 tried to come after Denise saying that she hooked up with Brandy. That's what I thought she was talking about. But she said she was talking about when Erica basically said her daughters knew what threesomes were, and she was talking about it at the barbecue and everything. Either way, I think that Denise is a vibe. I love Loopy Denise. Erica, she can play dumb all she wants, but she knows how she treated Denise. She knows she was dead wrong. And I think that Erica and Lisa Rinna, because we're talking about when Denise was on the show, and probably even Kyle, are just super jealous of Denise. Denise is beautiful. She has been a working actress forever. She stays with an acting gig. I was just watching one of her movies on Lifetime the other day about like the evil maid or something like that. Anyway, Denise is always booked and busy. She was married to Charlie Sheen. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. And then even for them to now try and shade, you know, Denise and her daughter for doing, you know, fans only, you know what I'm talking about. I don't care about that. Like, I hate it when people try and shame people, and especially people like Erica Jane are trying to shame people for monetizing their bodies or monetizing their sexuality, when literally Erica said that her entire life with Tom was an arrangement. So if you're not monetizing your body, Erica, I don't know what that is. And aren't you Pat the Puss, lady? So Erica, you're Pat the Puss. You basically said that you were in an arrangement with your husband, trading money for sex. Because to me, isn't that the arrangement? If it's not, let me know. But that's what I thought she meant by an arrangement. Isn't that what we usually think about? So you've monetized your body and your sexuality literally your entire life. And you have the audacity to try to make Denise feel bad about it because she's on frickin' fans only, which a lot of people are on. Frickin' Leah from NYC, from Roni, is on there. A ton of people are on there. You guys already know how I feel about sex workers. I think that it should, not that OnlyFans, oh man, I said it. I hope I don't get docked for my monetization, but fans only. I mean, I guess it's sex work. I guess it's a type of sex work, depending on the type of content you put out there. But I don't really care about that. I'm not a judgy-wudgy person. I think that to each their own, you know? It's not for me personally, but it doesn't have to be for me personally, you know? People don't have to live their lives based on how I choose to live mine. You know, people are allowed to live their lives as long as it's consenting, as long as they are adults, as long as it's safe. People are allowed to live their lives and monetize whatever the hell they want to monetize in their own way. It is their life, you know? So Erica needs to miss me with all that. Like, really, really miss me with all that. I loved Kim Richards. She is so wacky and so lovable. I'm happy that she looks healthy. She looks like she's doing good. She was definitely like the voice of reason when it came to Kathy and Kyle. So I was definitely here for that. And then I wanted to see more of Camille. Like, I feel like Camille didn't even really talk during the whole situation, right? So I definitely wanted to see more of Camille with that whole situation because she's really funny. She has great one-liners. I don't know if she didn't talk or if it was edited out. Who knows? And then my last bit about Erica that I forgot to put in her slide. Erica needs to shut up because she keeps butting into the Kyle and Sutton drama, being like, oh, you're being attacked. It's not fair. It's not right. Excuse me? First of all, Erica, it's none of your business. And number two, it's totally okay to question Kyle about her marriage. It is literally not only the title of the show that you're on, but it is the exact premise of the show that you're on. You are on The Real Housewives. So why is it an attack all of a sudden on Kyle to ask her about her marriage? When Kyle and Mauricio have monetized their marriage and their family as a brand for the last decade. So if you're able to brand and monetize your marriage and make millions and millions, according to everybody, they're worth $100 million. You're making all of these millions and millions of dollars on it. Why is it all of a sudden a personalized, dark, dirty attack when you're simply saying, hey girl, what's up? So Erica, shut up and pipe down. Ugh. But I want to know what you guys think. There you have it. Those are my thoughts on this season and last night's episode. So as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And of course, I will drop the link in case any candy canes want to come up and have a fun